Welcome to SML Total Access, where we break down news, predictions, and more in our Madden League. Now, let's get fired up for SML football.
Hello and welcome to SML Total Access. I'm Primetime 000, and with me are my trusted co-hosts, Dan and Matt. What's going on, fellas?
Not much, man. Not much. Just a great day in the world. I don't know what's going on. Something special's happening today. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something big is going on because it feels special today.
I woke up really happy today. I can't quite figure it out, but woke up full of energy.
Yeah. Something good's going on.
Yeah. It's something big, a monumental day, I think that is. But hey, first down, we're going to talk about some people, and I enjoy talking about people. I enjoy trashing people, and there's an opportunity for me to trash people on this topic. First down, Doink made a guarantee. He said, hey, 2 of the 3 primer posses are going to make the playoffs. Matt, I guess we'll start with you. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs, 2 of the 3 primer posses?
You know, when he said this, I thought it was a lock. I mean, you've got Bean is in probably the easiest division in the league, and then Doink's probably in the second easiest division. So I thought, well, those 2 are going to win those divisions by default, or at least, win enough games in those divisions to maybe get a wild card if they actually absolutely had to. And then I thought, oh, well, Monty's in probably the most competitive division, top to bottom, so he might falter. But what's played out is Monty's doing the best, and Bean and Doink kind of look lost. Bean has thrown 11 interceptions with Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow's a great quarterback in this game. He's got set feet lead. It's a great team, at least offensively. He just looks lost out there, which is weird. He's got like 7,500 hours in the game already, and it just kind of blows my mind. Now, obviously, division games, there haven't been a whole lot of them. We're only 3 weeks into the season, but I don't think 2 of them are going to make the playoffs. I think Monty's going to be the one that makes the playoffs. I don't know if Bean can get this together, just because it's not like he's gotten some bad breaks, which I'll talk about later. He just looks bad both sides of the ball. He's just doesn't look like a good player. Maybe he'll figure it out. And then Doink, Sam Howell, when you have a quarterback that bad this year, you're going to struggle even if you make the right read. He might not make the right pass. So I'm going to go with no, he's wrong, and only Monty will make it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is that's a pretty bold statement, and he was emphatic about it as well too. There wasn't any kind of hedging the bets, anything like that. He came out and he basically said, 2 of the 3 are going to guarantee. I'm kind of curious who he thinks the 2 of the 3 are. I don't know if he was thinking, it's definitely him and Bean, and they're kind of leaving Monty out. Monty always feels like the black sheep out of the primer posse, but what we've seen again is kind of the opposite, and I'm with Matt. Like, I'm most worried about Bean. He's got the best team of the 3. He's set up to win now, and he just looks completely confused. Doink probably has the best shot because I think actually that's the easiest path out of the 3. I think the teams that Bean has to play in the AFC North are a lot better. Maybe the users aren't, but the teams are much better. So I think he's got a kind of a rough haul going there. So I think Doink has a good shot of it, even with the rookie QB. We know that's kind of Doink's Achilles heel right now. He needs that QB, so that might hold him back. And then Monty, hey, he's playing good ball. We're seeing D-Muse, we're seeing Clink, both kind of have some rust here early on. So Monty might have a shot. I'm gonna say they are gonna do it, but it's gonna be Doink and Monty, and I think Bean is out.
So it's interesting. I do think that 2 of the 3 will make it, and I think that Monty's going to make it, and I think that Doink's going to make it. And with Bean, it's interesting because he made a total win now move, and I actually sent him Gilmore, the cornerback superstar, and the Bengals defense is ranked 25th in pass yards allowed, 23rd in total yardage allowed, and 19th in points per game allowed. So they're still, that defense is awful. But beyond that, I look at Joe Burrow and all these hours that No Beans put into the game. I mean, I checked probably right before we kicked off the cycle, and he was top 2, maybe number 1 in the league in hours, and which is a big deal to start the cycle. I don't care what you say; it's a big deal to start the cycle. And and I'll say it, and I said it at the beginning of the cycle, this freeform stuff is really overrated. I know it can make a difference in games, and if you use it correctly, but doing it every throw, guys are going to get all hot and bothered about it and try to do stupid things all the time, and they can't turn it off. And I've watched Bean play, and he can't turn it off. He doesn't know when not to freeform, and you formulate bad habits when you practice poorly. I don't agree with these practice types of, hey, let me freeform every time in these scrimmages, because now he's got these bad habits he's going to have to break throughout this season, and he doesn't have a first round draft pick. So I'm all for No Bean missing the playoffs. The problem is his division is Colt 45, Knoll, and Field General. So they all three still might make it just because No Bean's division is bleh, but he really doesn't deserve to make it if he keeps playing like the way he is.
Yeah, he pretty much has to make the playoffs in that division every year. I mean, it's just the way it is. Those guys should beat each other up. They should get beat up by other people. Mm-hmm. He should almost stumble into the playoffs no matter what, but he does not pass the eye test right now.
Yeah, and that is not the AFC South from last cycle. And he's got, quote unquote, Joe Burrow with all these abilities. There's no excuse to miss the playoffs with his situation. Second down, Fins. Oh boy, old Canadian. He's 3-0. Dan, are we taking Finn seriously?
I don't think we are. I think we need to pay attention to him because he's not only 3-0, but he is putting up some serious points. He's, last I checked, his running back, I think, is averaging 15 yards a carry or something ridiculous like that. He's got all the speed in the world. He's just dominating. Now, the question with him right now is the level of competition he's won against. It hasn't been the highest level of competition. So next two games, he's got what we just talked about, Bean. Can he kind of, keep that going against Bean? And then he's got Bomber right after that. So next two games will tell a lot. But we're talking about a 3-0 Fins here when last cycle, the pre-blip, he wasn't winning a single game. So the fact that he's 3-0 now and looking pretty good, I think we should be talking a lot more about him because, man, what a turnaround. And we see this every now and then from cycle to cycle. There's guys that just didn't figure out the cycle last year and struggled, and then new cycles, it fits their play. So maybe for Fins, this is going to be a cycle where he plays well, and maybe Fins is the one to beat in that division. I don't know. I mean, I'm excited in 2 weeks to see Bomber and Fins, and we might see the beginning of a beautiful rivalry there in the AFC East.
Wow.
Yeah, you know how on your TV remote you got that button that says like recall or last channel, and it flips to the last channel you were watching, and you have the big game on the main channel, and then when it goes to commercial, you flip over to that other one that's kind of okay. Fins is kind of upgraded to that, whereas you wouldn't normally have him on the TV. Now you've got him on that backup channel for commercials. So he's 3-0, but Dan hit the nail on the head. The level of competition makes it hard to judge him. He's beat Fig, not really a consistent playoff player at all. I think he made it once in Madden 21, and that's it. Field, he beat Field, who just doesn't have time to commit to the game, and he hasn't really been a strong playoff contender since I've been in the SML. And then he beat DW, who's kind of in that 500 range. But I think what I've been most impressed about is he's getting Tyreek Hill involved. I think he leads the league in yards. That's huge. I mean, that's a big weapon, and it's not necessarily easy to use him, especially this year. But I'm impressed by the defense. I think he gave up like 87 yards to Josh Allen passing. I mean, that's pretty darn good. Sacked him like 3 or 4 times. And I think Fins even mentioned, he pretty much in his scrims, he really only used Miami. He was kind of set on using Miami. I don't think he wanted to, screw around much with other teams and maybe fall out of love with Miami. So he knows this team better than anybody. He knows what they can and can't do. He's got Tua playing pretty well. Nothing flashy, but throwing for touchdowns, getting Tyreek Hill involved. He's got Mostert running the ball well. So I agree with Dan. I want to see what he does against, I was going to say Bean and Bomber, but unless he loses to Bean, I'm not going to be too impressed by that. So I think Bomber's the big game, week 5, just to see what Fins is all about.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was actually looking at passing stats this morning just to see where I stacked with Baker Mayfield, leading the league in yards, by the way, and second in the league passing touchdowns is Baker Mayfield. But that's besides the point. Tied with me at second place for passing touchdowns is Fins with Tua. And he's thrown 30 less pass attempts with Tua. 30. Now, here's the only flip side with this. he's already thrown 5 interceptions on 36 pass attempts. So he's dropping back, and about every 7 pass attempts, roughly, he's throwing an interception. That could hurt Fins. That's big. You cannot be throwing every 7 passes an interception. And then I was thinking, well, how could this be? And then I looked at his sack numbers, and he's only taken 2 sacks. So to me, I haven't watched a whole lot of his games, but he's probably just throwing this ball and avoiding sacks, and he doesn't have a scrambling quarterback really with Tua. So I think that could be an area where if he starts losing games, it's the interceptions that hurt him. Now, he does play Bean and he does play Bomber. I think if he could split one of those 2 games and be competitive in the one he lost, I think we got to really take Finn seriously. I think ideally for him, he would beat Bomber, just because it's a division game. But either way, Bean, we don't know how we feel about him. Like you said, Matt, that might not be a quality win, but given how good the Bengals are, given the amount of time Bean's put in, the studying, all the things he does outside of the game as well, you have to consider that for a guy who was quote unquote a lower tier player last cycle to beat somebody who's in the middle pack. That I think that puts him on the map. Let's move on to third down. Speaking of returns or comebacks or resurgence, old QB Stud, he's undefeated. He just beat Dan. Is QB Stud back? Is he a legit threat now? Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I knew he was a threat when I screamed him before we even started the league. He, QB is stubborn, and he looks at it from everything from a gameplay issue. And if last year, he didn't want to run the meta of cross our corner, so he didn't, and he really struggled because he tried to make things work that didn't work. He was throwing seam routes that you just user picked, and whatever else he was trying, curl routes. I don't know, but he was totally off the mark. But I think he was purposely sabotaging himself because he just didn't want to run what quote unquote the meta is. I don't know if he ever ran a corner route against me. It was weird. But this year, I don't know if there really is one. I mean, you can't just count on corner routes because the pass rush is so good. So it's like you just kind of have to take what's there. And he loves the curl routes. He loves the seams. He loves the posts. And all those are there based on the defense. And so I think, and he's got a good team. I mean, Russell Wilson's a great quarterback. That's step one in this Madden 23. If you look at, we'll talk about Dan here in a second, or I will, great player, but, some of these quarterbacks are holding back a lot of these great players in the games you watch. They're not making those crucial throws, and QB doesn't have to worry about that. Javonte Williams, absolute stud, especially in this game with the power running. I think QB is back, and I'm going to continue to say that until, I said in chat, I'm not the best player in this division, and that's simply because I believe it's QB. I don't remember peak QB. I only know stink QB, but I know he was a force, obviously, but I think he's back, and until I see different, he is one of the Super Bowl favorites for me.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. I think he definitely deserves to be right up there. He played a great game against me. Did everything that Matt just said. Willing to take what's there and just with Russell Wilson, and that's the difference between those elite quarterbacks and not. Like Russell Wilson hit every throw he needed to hit. I think he was 5 for 5 on third down. The other big thing that he's doing is he abandoned, for the most part, he abandoned under center stuff, and he's gone shotgun, which again, last year he kind of refused to do that. And now he's willing to go into shotgun, which, whether we like it or not, some of these blitzes are a lot easier to pick up, to counter from the shotgun position. So he's accepted that. He's done that. The middle of the field is open now in this Madden. You've got post routes, you've got curls, you've got different things that you can run that just weren't there. And the Broncos offense is set up for that. His defense is good enough, especially when you're scoring points, you're controlling the clock like he plays. That puts a lot of pressure then on the opposing offense, and his defense can then just kind of do enough. So he's not going to win games because of his defense. He's going to win games because of his offense. And, I would put him right there as one of the top 3 contenders. I got Prime, I got Matt, I got QB right there right now for season 1 in the AFC.
It's interesting when I think about QB. I look at his first 3 wins, and he beat Coop, and Coop really should have won that game if you guys watched that game. It was a very close game. He beat RD and the Texans, who The Texas team's just bad, and RD isn't where he needs to be. And then he beats Dan, who that's his quality win is beating Dan, who in his own way, Dan's kind of struggling to start this. I know Dan's 2-1, but I think Dan would probably tell you he's not playing the way he wants to be quite yet with that 49ers team, with Trey Lance being young and some things he's letting up defensively at this point. 31st ranked rush defense. So I think QB's playing better than he is last cycle, but I think we need to pump the brakes on him a little bit. I don't see I haven't seen this dominant force yet out of him, and he plays me week 5, and then he plays Matt week 6, and then he plays Bomber week 7. I want to see how that 3-week window goes for QB stud. If he can find a way to win a few games out of that, maybe win 2 of those games, then I'll tip my cap and say he's truly back. But I know he's more confident, but I'm pumping the brakes for now. I haven't seen him do everything he needs to do quite yet. But that's just me.
I think part of what you're saying though too is, and that's kind of where we got to, like you're remembering QB as the 3-time Lombardi winner, the 19-0, the one that everyone, the one that he likes to talk about.
Yes.
Matt's talking about him in the sense of, hey, I saw him last cycle, and I'm looking at him at kind of like Finn's. Hey, Finn's is 3-0, Matt or QB's 3-0, like he's back. So I think there's a line there of saying, is he going to be pushing for 3 Lombardis this cycle? Some of that's going to depend on how he develops that defense, but and how long Russell Wilson stays good. But I think season 1, QB he's one of the top 3 in the AFC.
Okay, all right, we'll take it. Speaking of former top 3 players, Faz, he's lost 2 straight now. His computer lost 1 to Matt, and obviously I killed him. Dan, it's Faz. Is Faz going to take a step back?
Well, yeah, he 100% is going to take a step back. I would bet my entire life savings, everything I got, that he's going to take a step back, because he's not going to win 3 Lombardis in a row. That's the bar was set pretty high last cycle. The question now that we're looking at is he going to take such a step back that he's not going to be a contender in the AFC? And that's a really interesting question. What the kind of the little narrative is about the QB. Same thing we say with Doink. We say a little bit about Faz. Faz won Lombardis when he had Gunslinger on the QB. The minute he didn't have Gunslinger on the QB, he didn't win a Lombardi. He lost to me two cycles ago. He lost to you, Prime, last cycle. He needs that extra gas, that extra thing. So will Faz get that this year? That's a huge gamble. It seems really hard for up and coming players to get those abilities. So I'm on the train. I believe Faz is not gonna. I don't think he's gonna play in a Lombardi this cycle. So he's gonna take a step back. Whoa. I think Matt. I think QB. I think Prime. I think even Bomber once he gets that team rolling. I think all 4 of those guys there are gonna get a Lombardi before Faz will. I don't think he'll even make one.
Wow, bold statement there. I am also on the train of Faz stepping back. I think the game just plays different. He's gonna have to adjust. He's always been really good at the passing concepts of the high-low, which obviously that's a real football concept. But in Madden, it was so good for so long. But now you can't sit in the pocket and wait for those to develop. And I think he's going to eventually adjust. But when I watched his game versus you, Prime, it wasn't a Trevor Lawrence issue. It wasn't a Jaguars issue. It was a Faz issue. Those were throws that I expect to see in other games from other owners, where it's just like, okay, well, what did they see there? I'd love to break it down and what did they honestly see? Not normally something I say about Faz. He just looked lost out there, like he wasn't reading the defense right. And I don't know if that was the pressure, but he just looked completely lost. And I think, at first I thought, oh, Trevor Lawrence is superstar in franchise, but not in regular. That's a big boost for Faz. I'm not so sure that it is, because now he's got quick draw and safety valve, which aren't quick draw might actually be good this year. I don't know, but he doesn't have that gunslinger, pass lead elite. He can't get those from a star to a superstar move. And in order to get from superstar to X factor, I heard something about if you have more than 15 interceptions, your quarterback's disqualified. If that actually ends up being true, he's already at 12, and we've only played 3 games. Now, granted, 4 of those were against me. It was his computer, but he threw 7 against you. So maybe the computer is an improvement. I'm not quite sure, but he can only throw 3 more picks the rest of the year, and then Lawrence might be disqualified from getting an X factor, and he's only 76 overall to begin with. So I don't even think those good abilities are in the picture anytime soon. I think Faz will eventually figure it out. He'll figure something out in the game where he can, he's got the talent. He's got a lot of talent on this team with Evan Ingram at tight end, ETN at running back. He's got some solid wide receivers. Claypool's a stud this year with the height. But he's not going to be the powerhouse that's going to strike fear in everybody. QB, bomber, U prime, obviously.
You, Matt.
He's not going to strike fear in people. Yeah, I played him last night. He was terrible. So he doesn't fear me. So I think he's going to take a step back. 3 Simbardies in a row, that's not going to happen again. But I'm with Dan. I'm not going to go as far as saying he's not going to play in a Super Bowl, but he's not going to be a regular member that gets out of the divisional round. I think he's going to stumble in that round or before it sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the team selection draft, I said I was going to behead Thanos. And then we had a Total Access episode with Coach Posse, and I said, hey, this cycle I'm focused on one thing, returning to kind of my form, and then telling Faz, making a point to Faz that he made a mistake joining the AFC South. I don't know what he was expecting in that game, but I think it's a sign of things to come for when the Colts play the Jaguars. And I think his one thing, like Dan alluded to or pretty much said, was Faz really likes gunslinger, those set feet like the lead type of plays with his quarterback abilities. Trevor doesn't have that, and he's only got a 91 arm, and that's not a huge arm when it comes to a quarterback in Madden. Not a huge arm at all. It's good, but it's not elite. So those tight windows that Faz likes to throw it into, and now he's going to have to anticipate instead of just wait. He has to anticipate and throw it on time. I think that he's in trouble with his play style this Madden.
Prime, quick question for you. You think Faz is going to give up on Trevor?
He might. I think he might, because we were playing and he threw a ball into double coverage and threw an interception, and the words out of his mouth were, and I heard him, but you guys didn't. I heard him through my controller, and he's like, "Oh, dang it, Trevor!" And it was not Trevor's fault at all. The blame was put on Trevor, but
wait a second. He was the controller was on when you played him?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was talking trash to him the whole time. Oh yeah. I was in his ear the whole time.
Oh, young Faz. Come on now.
I was letting him have it. So, yeah, I think mentally, and I said it, I think he's starting to regret his choice. He will never say it, but I think that choice to take in Jacksonville is a mistake. I don't think he's going to win a Simbardi this cycle. He might steal a division because I have ADHD, but other than that, I don't see the threat in Faz.
Probably one thing I want to add, Faz, there's a mental game to Faz too. I know this in Madden 21. You can play the mental game, and in that division, if he continues to struggle and it gets into the latter part of the season, and I know this year you guys play week 6, your second game, so he'll be done. But that's going to change every year. But if he's struggling and he gets into the latter part of the season, and he's got Derrick Henry twice, and he's got Jonathan Taylor twice, and RD's going to, if it's not his rookie running back, he's going to find one and he's going to pound the rock. Faz is going to face those guys 6 times a year, and that's going to add to the frustration. And he could not just take a step back because of his physical abilities in the game, but he might just get mentally frustrated at all the running you guys are throwing at him and check out that way. So it'll be interesting to see what Faz does. Yeah,
I think Thanos is going to get blipped this cycle. I'll say that. Well, hey, that was our talk on little Faz, Harry. Matt, what's your 5 this week?
Yeah, the first top 5, Map 5 of 23. I'm pretty excited to put this together. It was kind of easy, but also kind of not, because we have only a few undefeated teams, and then there's a big jumble at 2-1, and so I kind of had to pick through and find who I liked, and I went with Meats. I think Meats with that Packers team, I had some chats about them with some people about, I was about ready to take him. It was just Rodgers' age that pushed me away. But that defense, man, you almost don't have to do anything. Meats actually looks good when he plays. He should be in the 3-0 club. He lost to Biz on a fumble. I think he ran a jet sweep, so it's honestly his fault. But, then he got into field goal range. got a blocked field goal. It's hard for me to hold that against him too much. I think he should be in the 3-0 club, but he's 2-1. I'm impressed with Meats. I think that's a winnable division. I haven't been too impressed with Paulie, and I think that's really his only competition at this point. He's got Aaron Rodgers, the great equalizer, and a fantastic defense. Honestly, I do think the Chargers probably have the best defense in the league, but those Packers are not far behind, and they are younger, and they're going to be studly. If he gets a quarterback to replace Rodgers, watch out for Meats this cycle. He might fold one round later than normal.
Yes.
At number 4, I've got myself. Again, I'm kind of in that Fins product. I don't have a signature win. I did beat Powerhouse Mike, who did upset QP, but then got absolutely destroyed by U Prime. So that lessens my win a little bit. And then I beat a computer. So it's hard for me to put myself above anyone else that's 3-0 who's beat 3 humans, no matter who the humans are. At number 3, I've got Fins. Again, 3-0. He's one of the only 4 teams at 3-0. If I leave him off of here, it's a disservice, and I think this Matt 5 kind of takes a hit in credibility. He's undefeated. You can only beat who's on your schedule. Whoever, it doesn't matter who it is. I like the defense that he's playing. Again, Josh Allen holding him to under 100 yards passing. I believe that is absolutely impressive. That Dolphins secondary is good, but there's no pass rush on that team, and he's figured something out. He's got Ogba, I think, 5th in sacks. So credit to Finch. He traded Wilkins to Dan too. I mean, that was probably his best defensive lineman. So I don't know where he's finding this pass rush, but yeah, hats off to Fins. I know I trashed him a little bit earlier, but hey, here he is. QB. Again, I'm really impressed with how QB is playing. Obviously, my judgment of QB is stink QB, not peak QB. So I don't know the illustrious dominant one, but he looks pretty good to me. Beat Dan. Again, I agree. I don't think Dan's playing as well as he would like. I think he's got to figure out Trey Lance a little bit, who has let him down. Whereas Russell Wilson, Dan mentioned the 3rd down conversions. That's what the good QBs do, and I like that this game emphasizes that. You should have an advantage when you have a good QB, and when I'm playing a bad QB, I want to feel like I'm playing a bad QB. But QB Stud himself playing great. He's taking what's there. He's not forcing things. He looks really good. He is complaining about the game a lot on stream. I know when I watched the Coop game, he was complaining. Keep that under wraps. Don't let the emotions get in front of you, and he'll do really well. Number 1, Prime. I mean, hey, who else could it be? You destroyed Faz, and I mean that no matter what, Faz might be 1 and 2. Obviously, one was a computer game, but honestly, after watching Faz versus Doink, I didn't think Faz was going to lose a step. Week 1, he looked fantastic, destroyed Doink, who is honestly a good player, puts a lot of time in the game, multiple leagues, blah blah blah. Faz absolutely destroyed him. Doink can say, "Oh, there was a fumble," and blah blah blah. He destroyed him, and then he comes into week 2, and Prime just makes him look like an amateur, like. I don't know if it was your defense or what, but he just was throwing by passes I've never seen him throw before. So, Prime, you've got my number 1 spot. I think you're going to have to get beat to lose it, just because of that Faz win. You also looked really good against Mike. He was kind of keeping it close here and there, but again, that defense, you've got it narrowed down, even losing Gilmore. So, yeah, that's my top 5.
No, I think that's a great list. I think Prime, especially making the move. We didn't talk much about trades, or a lot of wild trades already, but making that move to get Baker, giving up so little with that, to me that was going to be Prime's one of his biggest weaknesses. I thought he could get away with Matt Ryan for maybe half the season, maybe the full season, but come playoff time, there was going to be a moment where he needed Matt Ryan to have his arm from 10 years ago, and it wasn't going to be there. So for him to get Baker, I think that really puts him over the top. I think not only the way Prime's playing right now, but I think the way the game is set up, I think the way that team develops, Prime's position for some big runs here. It's probably going to be an upset if he doesn't win this season. So a lot of pressure on Prime, but I know that's what he likes.
I love the pressure. I know it's the Colts team, and we got some holes still at receiver, and just obviously I traded Gilmore, but hey, I'm confident, and my goal is to kind of prove I still got it. So we'll see what happens. I like the list. Matt. I'm excited for some guys that we haven't really seen in the top 5. I don't know if Meats has ever been in there. I don't think Fins has ever been in there. So it's cool to see a new cycle.
You don't think Fins has ever been in there? Come on, what in the world 15. Has Fins ever been in there?
I was just trying to be nice. But yes, it's good to see. It's a rebirth. A new cycle is always a new chapter, and this chapter could be Fins' chapter in the book of the SML. So, well, guys, that is SML Total Access. I'm Prime. That was Dan, and that was Matt. We appreciate you guys listening. And hey, have a good day.
Happy birthday, Prime.
Ah!